Peace world, what's good? It's Wyking back at the Black Dot Underground Africatown Media Studios for another episode. Today I'm here with my good brother, special guest Trey Lamont. Trey, Garfield graduate, CD native, multi-talented, entrepreneur. Covered a lot of ground, man, in a short amount of time. International martial artist, recording artist, teacher in the community, and now, budding restaurateur, culinary entrepreneur, mogul, on the rise, man. Ultimately, just a true Renaissance man, and currently owner of the Jerk Shack, man, the acclaimed Jerk Shack in Belltown, Seattle, Washington, man. Welcome, brother.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate being recognized and being invited to Black Dot Africatown. I've been waiting a long time for Africatown.
Okay.
Not to be invited because I'm a part of it no matter what.
For sure.
But there's no place in the nation where you're gonna find Africatown, and I've been waiting and participating and loving the energy and idea and the community that we want to bring back to the city.
Man, that's great. And it's good to have you in here as a representative of the type of black excellence that we striving to really make way for, hold space for, and just spread the culture, And so I'm glad you're here, so we could, you could talk a little bit about your journey. I mean, you are well known in the city, but everyone doesn't know all the different facets. Different people know different, aspects of Trey. So maybe you could kind of put a little bit of the picture together today for the people, and maybe start by just telling us a little bit about your journey to this point.
Well, that might be a little bit by design.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
all right.
Anyone who knows me in other fields, I make sure that I try to do those fields as best of my ability as possible.
Yes.
And when they look at me, they can only put me in that box. Normally they go, well, he does this so well, or he does this and he cares so much, he can't do anything else. Right. But black people, and not just black people are not monolithic, and neither am I.
Right.
So we can do everything. We're the hugest creators of culture in the world, and our brains are unmatched by anybody else's.
So, man, I mean, I think history will validate the things that are being said, because we have been doing it a long time. So what are we gonna get today? We're gonna get a little bit into the a little bit of the journey. Grew up in the CD.
Yeah. Ask the right questions, I shall answer.
Okay. All right. Well, tell us a little bit about the journey. Growing up in the city.
Man, born and raised in Seattle. Born at the University of Washington Hospital. Raised in the CD. Off of Cherry, 32nd and Cherry. And, I grew up watching black excellence in the Central District. My grandmother was able to purchase her house from the old Jewish community before it was the black community in the Central District, and basically, raised my whole family. I have 4 brothers, 4 sisters. I'm number 6 out of 9 kids. And everyone in my family is from this hood.
And you spoke about being creators of culture. You're also within a legacy of cultural creators, second generation that I know of in the city, with your father, and the legacy that he laid down that you kind of continuing.
Yeah, man, my pops, he's been around Washington State for a long time. Without him, I wouldn't be here at all. He was a single father, raised me and my brothers, and my other siblings that are not his by blood, he helped raise them as well. They call him dad. So him stepping up and being a part of their lives, helped me become who I am now. And he came to Washington for college in Spokane, Whitworth College, and then moved to Seattle and stayed. And
that's where the legacy begins, right? Yeah. So, man, today, you're the chef and owner of the Jerk Shack in Belltown. You've been around the nightlife scene a long time, been in the entertainment scene. How did you get to that position?
I got to the position of owning the Jerk Shack through a partnership that I had with former partners that also own other restaurants, and it's a restaurant group. And this last 6 months or so, had recently purchased their shares away from them so that I could become the first and only, not the first, but the only Black-owned restaurant in downtown Seattle.
Yeah, that's powerful, because that's one of the things we were talking about just before we came on the air, was just the legacy of Black restaurateurs going all the way back to William Gross, who started the CD, and he had restaurants downtown, back in the 1860s and 70s,
right.
And now, we see you continuing that legacy, but right now kind of isolated and the only one, and we were just talking about that.
Yeah, man, before me, there were other Black-owned restaurants. You had Casualitas, the other Caribbean restaurant, which is now Theo's Island Soul in Columbia City. You had Africatown, started down there in Belltown. You had Alexandria's, which gave birth to La Louisiana.
Right. Now you know your history, brother.
Well, I will always give credit where credit's due. And they paved the way for me. It's just a shame that they're no longer in the neighborhood, because we could have had a few square blocks sewed up of our culture representing downtown Seattle.
Right. Because we do see our culture down there, but we don't see us, we
don't see us down there.
Right? So was food, was that always part of your path,
Oh, man. Yeah. Been cooking since I was 3 years old.
Okay.
My grandma taught me a lot of things in the kitchen, my big mama. My father helped cultivate my cooking passion he worked at Sheraton Seattle. He opened the doors at Sheraton Seattle and worked there for over 35 years. And he was at the front door, but I used to come and hang out in the kitchen and hang out with all the banquet chefs and wait for him to get off work. And then after we got off work, he used to take me down to the Pike Place Market and let me choose whatever ingredients I wanted. Like, he let me taste, he let me smell, he let me feel the ingredients, and let me experiment as a kid,
right,
and cultivate that. And he's very supportive in that. And also with all the different migrations in Seattle with the refugees,
right,
coming from Chinese, Vietnamese to Ethiopian and Somali. My dad used to help teach English to a lot of the refugees for free. Like, we used to go to their house and used to tutor them, and I used to go with them, and I used to hang out in the kitchens and smell all the different cultural food and ask questions. And then we go to the Pike Place Market the next day, and I'd be like, that's what they were messing with in the kitchen. And I said, I want to try to play with that. He let me get whatever.
Right.
And so
you pursued that, was that always like going to high school, coming out of high school? Was that always present, or was it something that you came back to?
No, it's always been present, because having so many siblings and not growing up with a lot of money in the household. So if you're the one that knew how to cook, then you're always going to be eating. So, and no one's gonna really fight with you too much either, because you're gonna be feeding them too, so you become everyone's favorite. So
all right. So how did you get to the? And then you went to school, right?
Culinary school, yeah. Out of high school, Le Cordon Bleu, and graduated top class, and continued from there. I still have a good relationship with my chef instructors from the school, and they come to the restaurant quite often and support.
So was that your? Were you in other kitchens before, other restaurants before opening up shop?
Yes, through the commercial foods program at Garfield High School, through Mr. Gipp, rest in heaven. I'll never forget him,
Gipp,
man.
That's a legend right there.
Thomas Gipp, man. I love that man with the bottom of my heart. He retired the year after my freshman year, but I got to be in his class, and even though I had experience in professional kitchens from growing up throughout middle school, and being in that class, he set up a whole bunch of job shadowing programs with the Washington Athletic Club, the Women's University Club, and the Westin Hotel, even though I had those connections already. And
see, I never knew that about that class. I thought Gipp was the class. Just go to Gipp class, to get your rank on, crack jokes with Gipp. What I'm saying? He's gonna get on your head, you get on his head, and if you get on his head too much, you get kicked out of the class. Yeah, that was my experience.
Yeah, you can get on him a little bit. He always try to get on you. But the thing is, he and I had an understanding. I think that when he saw that I was really interested in cooking, he asked me a few questions. What do you know about this, and what do you know about food safety, and blah blah blah. I was like, well, I knew it. I wasn't trying to be cocky, but I knew everything that he asked me, and he was like, "Who are you?" He said, "Who are you, young man?" And I said, "No one. I'm Trey Lamont. I want to be a chef one day." And he goes, "Okay, I'm gonna hook you up with my man Seth."
Wow. And
Seth was the OG, man. Seth, he's passed away as well. He's an old gentleman that used to run Fuller's down there at the Sheraton Hotel. And I was like, man, I know Seth. He was like, oh, you do? Okay. So he would take the whole class once or twice a year, and down to the Pike Street Cafe, and downtown Seattle. And all my classmates, they were like, how do you know all these old people in the kitchen and these guys? And Seth would come in his 3-piece suit, smooth, pinky rings, everything. You see, the rapper doing his thing, and Seth was that guy for me. Right. Mr. Gipp was that guy for me, because you see Mr. Gipp outside of Garfield, he was smooth. He was clean and smooth, and it was love that everyone showed them, no matter what. It was love and respect. So the same thing that you see the guy on the street that you would look up to if you was of the street. Yeah. You saw that from those guys.
Right. Understood.
Respect.
Man, that's so I think that's just a great story. The importance of, having, men, mentors, women, people that really care. Yeah. In the schools and in the community, to open up those pathways. So how did you speeding it up to the Jerk Shack, how did you land on Caribbean? Of all the different flavors you've been exposed to, how did you land on that menu?
Well, it is part of my family background, and it's we don't have too much Caribbean food in Seattle. Yeah. So I got tired of visiting family on the East Coast and on the Caribbean, and then coming back to the West Coast and not getting good Caribbean food representation. Yeah. Not smacking down any other Caribbean spots around here.
It's picking up though now. It's like a number of spots showing up in Seattle now.
Right, but it just wasn't hitting. Right. It wasn't like satisfying my craving. Right. So I said, you know what? I need to do this for my people, and I need to do this because it's needed.
Mm-hmm. So once again, just a legacy, heritage, all of that coming forward, and what you're doing today, just that principle of Sankofa, looking back and going forward. So, restaurants are a highly capital intensive business. That's one of the highest. It's also what they say one of the most risky business. You know? So what are some of the challenges that you had to overcome to get your doors open?
Well, sitting in front of a loan officer trying to get money to buy out a restaurant from an existing entity, traditional lenders don't lend that way anymore. They don't care how good your credit is. They don't care how much profit you've made in sales.
Wow.
They don't care. And that was a huge obstacle, getting a $1,000 doors slammed in your face going, nope, we're not going to fund you to buy these guys out. And
man, I just watched the Byron Allen video, did the Breakfast Club interview this morning. It's like, when you say that, it just reminds me of what he was saying about how he used to make all these calls and get so many no's.
He's right. I mean, and that's what I don't think is unique to just people of our skin color with the nose, but I think it's unique to people with our skin color of how many no's.
Right.
And for what we want to do, what we want to present for our culture, if we tell most banks that we want to grow our community and make it better, then most likely they're going to be like, no. But it doesn't make sense to me, because if the statistics are correct and we are the number one consumers and we are the trendsetters and so on, that should be a no-brainer investment that any bank should say, I'm gonna invest in that because I'm gonna get my money back.
Right.
So it just.
So how did you overcome that obstacle?
So I have a partner, John Devine, and he's a traditional lender by profession, and he was a customer at first, and we got to talking, and he was working for a lending company, and he quit his job to create his own business, which he already had. Actually, he had his own lending business, and then he got contracted through this company that said, hey, you bring your business to us, we'll pay you because they're going to get the funding through us, right? And we'll give you a commission and blah, blah, blah.
Commercial
and yeah, exactly.
Broker.
Well, he was already doing that on his own, and he went back to it. And he said, well, I have relationships with these banks, and I have relationship with the former head loan officer who just purchased their own bank. And he introduced me to that gentleman. His name is Matt. And Matt sat with me for 30 minutes and said, I'm going to give you the money. And I was just thinking to myself, like, how come I didn't meet this guy like 6 months ago?
So relationships is everything, and you never know. You said he was a customer first.
Yes.
So when you engaged him and all of that, you didn't know who he was, right?
No.
You just probably treated him.
Well, we kept seeing each other at places trying to support black businesses, because I definitely try to support black business. And we kept seeing each other at those same spots, at Simply Soulful, at Maine Miller's when he was doing it at off of Rainier, not Rainier, but MLK, when he would do his pop-ups there. And then
shout out to Def Chef.
Yeah, Def Chef, baby. And the young brothers that were doing the coffee, Woke Coffee. We just kept seeing each other at all of these spaces, and I saw him and he saw me for who we were.
Right.
And we understood that we were trying to support our people no matter what.
Right. That's powerful. Like minds coming together, the universe, brings it together. You keep putting it out there. What, you touched on this a little bit. You was giving some history of the black businesses, downtown prior. What other businesses, in the CD, or just black restaurants that have inspired you, to step forward?
Man, when I was growing up in the CD, we stayed in the CD or the South End, and the black businesses that I remember seeing set the bar for me to own my own business, because I saw Jordan's, I saw Mr. and Mrs. Lowe's, I saw the sandwich shop, I saw Rogers, I saw Ezel's, aka Bulldogs, Miss Helen's, Thompson's Point of View. I saw Oscars. All of these, Catfish Corner, you can't forget them. And those restaurants, stores, and businesses, legitimate businesses, set the bar for me. I'll never forget them. I remember going in to Jordan's or Miss Lowe's, the convenience store, before there was any Middle Eastern or Korean, Asian stores in the CD or anything like that. You had black-owned convenience stores that we supported, and they supported us.
Right.
I could go, my big mama could give me, some money and say, hey, go get me this. And if I didn't have enough, they would say, oh, you'll be back. Come back and bring it later.
Right. Community, real
exactly.
Community.
It was community.
Real village, yeah.
Right.
So, with that said, what made you open up in Belltown? How did that come about?
Convenience, and opportunity. Okay. I was offered ownership in that space, and my friend Brian, who was part owner of the restaurant at that time, he knew I was looking for brick and mortar, and he said, "Hey, we have it right here." And I was looking in the Central District before, and I got no's. I think I had mentioned to you before, I was trying to get where Uncle Likes was when Phillies was gone, and then when Medi Mix burned, I tried to get in there. I was like, hell, I'll clean it up. I'll get in here. And
he had a plan.
Yeah, they said nope.
He had a plan right after that burn. Then all of a sudden, that license came through and all of that came in effect. So there's been
because before Medi Mix, I was trying to get it.
Yeah,
and I had said this on film before. I think maybe 2009. And because I had a student asking me at the Taekwondo school for her film class, and she was like, well, what are you looking to do now? And I was like, I'm trying to inquire about this space where Phillies used to be, because I would love to be in the Central District.
Right.
And
so before you opened the brick and mortar, you had opened
my food truck. I had a food truck. Yeah.
So just as a pathway, you didn't just jump and then put all this money into a brick and mortar. You actually built your audience, your following, and everything.
Correct.
Papa Boys, huh?
Papa Bois. Papa Bois. Like W.B. Du Bois, but it's supposed to be Bois. Du Bois. You can say either way. It means father wood, the father of the forest. Okay. So yeah. From 2011 to 2017, Papa Bois was the food truck. Popping.
Where's it at? We looking for it.
Man, it's sitting. It's sitting right now, man. Me and my old business partner trying to allow another entrepreneur mind to purchase that food truck so that they can start their own business.
Yeah. So what what you want to be in the CD, hopefully we can make that happen. What are your thoughts about the work of of Africatown, with the development of real estate and striving to, maintain and keep space and develop space for Black businesses to continue that legacy of all of those businesses you just named.
It makes me proud. It makes me proud to know you and to know the legacy of your father in helping the community in that area grow. I don't think a lot of people understand the history that behind your history.
Yeah.
I know it.
Yeah.
I know some of it.
Yeah.
I will never pretend to say I know all of it, but I know some of it due to the fact that I try to keep my information.
Right.
And I advise everybody who is interested to look into it themselves as well. And it just makes me proud, and I know how long it's taken and the struggles and the headaches. Man, I've seen you going like this a couple times, like, man.
It's a daily operation, man.
Yeah.
That's a daily thing.
I love it. You know.
And so we're getting some, we got some traction. We know we lost ground. We've lost a lot of ground, but we do have some traction because there always has to be a future, right? Working towards a future. And there's a little renaissance happening, with the businesses going into Liberty Bank. You got the businesses down on Martin Luther King. So Liberty Bank is, Earl's is there, staying alive, looking for another 30. Christie's going in, and Damon with Brown with their setup, Cafe of Old. Then down the street you got the Postman, cheese platters, exclusive boutiques. So there's a little renaissance of Black businesses, sprouting up. So second location. Would you be willing to bring that to the CD?
Most definitely, man. I would love to be part of Africatown, bringing Jerk Shack over there. That like I said, I want to be right there on 23rd and Union. Even when that for sale sign went up where Sammy's Burgers was, I tried to go purchase that.
Yeah.
But the seller was asking for like $650,000 for the small space, which I had an investor for that. But the we couldn't deal with the foundation there. The foundation was not sound. So it was just like heartbroken. I was like, man, I just want to be
that's
in this.
Legendary. Sammy's, get you a burger and get cussed out,
Yeah, man. The hot link burger, man, right there.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, man.
$135 for a cheeseburger, $375 for that fish, man. Man, I wish Sammy's was there today.
See, in that grass space, I was going to try to have an outdoor patio space covered or something like that because it's such a small space. And I was just like, man, they really don't want us in here. They really don't want us in here.
Well, we want you, and we working hard to bring, Black entrepreneurs that's moving in excellence like yourself and others, so we can have a hub. So when people come to town and they say, "Oh, we have a spot to be able to take them." You know, we don't have to say, "Well, it used to be," and because they can't taste Sammy's burger, but they can taste the Jerk Shack.
Hey, we got the Caribbean burger, man.
Okay,
we got the Caribbean burger. It's fire,
man. So we're gonna be working on that. Y'all heard it here first. Here, we working on bringing our brother. CD native, and shining in Belltown right now. Bring him up the hill so he could get it in both places.
Yeah, but don't be afraid to come down to Belltown for some fact that I want our people to know that we have a cultural hub, at least a beacon in downtown Seattle, at least one place
for sure.
that they can come and feel comfortable.
Man, the food, the ambiance, everything is excellent. So definitely. Make it a regular part of your travels. So we want to get into we were closing now. We have this part about dropping gems, giving people, putting some light on people's paths. So we want to ask you, what are 3 books that have been a light on your path and informed and allow you to move, in the excellence that you're moving in?
Oh man, I would suggest reading books, like one particular book that will always be a part of my life is The Power of One. It's about apartheid in South Africa. It's a very, very good book that I read when I was a youngster, and if you're American, Black, you can relate to the struggle, but you also will read that book and know that you're not alone in that, in the struggle of being beat down, but we are never defeated, right? And I mean, I suggest parents to read that book with their kids if possible. I've always liked The Eyes of Watching God. You know, you got Zora Neale Hurston, you got Walter Mosley books. Any one of those authors will set you on a path that will take you to Black excellence, but also reading books that are particularly specific to your field.
Yeah. Is there any that you call out?
The Richest Man in Babylon.
Yeah.
Those books. I mean, there's a ton of those books, but I like to read different kind of books. Like I like to read chess books because I want checkers, right. I like to read books that like the Hagakure and The Art of War, and books on strategy, because if you can understand those books, you can put those strategic and analytical thinking to any situation, and not just, oh, well, I want to read a business book.
Right.
Like those books, if you are a logical and analytical philosopher or thinker, then you can apply it to anything.
Facts. Any good podcasts, blogs, or YouTube channels or anything that you follow online for inspiration or information?
Man, Africatown for sure. You gotta
take that. Shout out Big O.
Yeah, man.
Kalligraphy behind the scenes,
definitely
keeping this media flowing.
Man, I share as much as I can. I try to I like TK Kirkland. I was on his podcast recently, and we were talking about some other ventures that becoming a part of, and it's just dropping a lot of jewels and getting information to better our situation.
That's right. We got to take ownership, responsibility. In real time, are there living, models that, kind of you like looking at their steps, and that, that helps, how you move people?
I'm sorry?
Any like real time, models, there's always a people we can look back to, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, whoever it may be, but like in real time, people that are active on the scene in whatever field, is there anyone that, is you consider kind of a real model or inspiration?
Yeah. You, for instance, Wyking, like, I honestly am not just saying this because we're sitting in front of each other. I've even sent you a message letting you know that my kids will understand and know who you are because of how important you are to this community. I like to listen to, believe it or not, Charlamagne the God. I like to listen to that guy because he spits a lot of controversy, but he also spits a lot of useful information. And Byron Allen himself, I try to look to examples and figure out what they've done.
Right.
There are other there are other entrepreneurs in the business. Like if you ever research black businesses like nationwide, there are lots of black chefs that are doing their thing around the nation that you may not hear about in Seattle, and I follow a lot of those guys, and dope. Because they're setting an example for me.
Yeah, excellent. And just bringing that back home, what would you say is the state of black restaurants or black culinary entrepreneurs in Seattle right now?
Continue to like strive for greatness, and it doesn't necessarily have to be soul food, because anything we do, it comes from our soul.
Right.
So when people that are not from our culture taste it, they feel it.
Right.
And they go, man, this is amazing. And they go, this must be soul food. Yeah, technically it is soul food, but not the kind of soul food that you traditionally think of.
Southern cuisine.
Exactly.
Right. And so just, where are things today for our black food entrepreneurs? Do you feel like things are moving in a good direction? Are there restaurants opening? Are you seeing, are we getting a share of the economy? What would you say is kind of the state of affairs?
We have a long way to go.
Okay.
We have a long way to go. I'm always going to be honest about that. We are grateful for the opportunities such as Africatown and the Liberty Bank building being created and having that space, but we are not, I don't believe that we are supposed to be in just one spot, right?
Definitely not.
So I think that we have to see ourselves. We have to see ourselves and be the example for the kids to say, hey, you can do this.
Right.
And giving them the example, so that showing them the example that they can go, oh man, I didn't know I could be a chef. I thought I could just be a basketball player.
So once they embrace that, I really appreciate that you say that. Once they embrace that they can and they on the path, what are 3 steps for someone striving to be a successful culinary entrepreneur, open a restaurant, that you would give them, back to our dropping gems?
Oh man, always, if you want to be a chef and you want to own your own restaurant, you got to start at the dish pit. You have to start at the dish pit. You're not going to start off being the chef or the sous chef, right? Start at the dish pit, work your way, and be a busboy. And then figure out how you can get on the prep, and then how you can get on the line. Understand the front of the house and back of the house. Understand balancing the inventory, and go to school. I mean, you can go to school to get your certification. You're not going to learn as much. I'm going to be honest. You're not going to learn more going to school than what you will learn by just working at a restaurant, but people take you more seriously. You could start your own business a lot easier with that credential by just being a private chef or creating your own catering company. And there are other outlets other than owning your own restaurant. Like you can be a caterer, you can be a pastry chef, you can do meal prep. There's money out there that you can make, and there's just, everyone has to eat. You can't tell me somebody ain't gonna eat. I don't care if they're vegetarian, vegan, or whatever, carnivore, omnivore. Everybody has to eat. Everybody has to drink water, and you're always gonna have a job. But if it's your passion, you're going to figure out how to do it and be successful and do what you love to do.
My brother. All right, man. We appreciate you coming in, spending this time with us, and we hope it's not the last time, because I know it's a lot in there that that we could be talking about. For those that want to follow you, they want to come to the restaurant. Let the people know how they can follow you online and where they can come to Jug Shack.
Well, We are 2510 First Avenue, right in the heart of Belltown, the Jerk Shack. You can go online and you can go to our website, jerkshackseattle.com. And you can also go to our Instagram, Jerk Shack Seattle, on Instagram, and our Facebook is Jerk Shack Seattle as well. I mean, you can Google us. You can just put in Caribbean food in Seattle, and Jerk Shack's going to pop up. But if you want to go to our website, you can see all of our credentials and our write-ups on from the Seattle Times, being one of the top restaurants in Seattle in our first year, from Seattle Weekly and so on. And if you want to look at what the food looks like and everything, you can see some photos on there, but you can also go to our Instagram and get interactive. We have live music every Thursday. Come check us out. Back patio's open year round, heated, lots of music on the patio and inside, but live music every Thursday.
There you go. And that's a wrap for today. You know how we do about this time. Tap in, don't tap out. Peace.
Peace.